Great. Okay. Just going to wait a couple seconds. I'm a little early here on the call. Just want to get a couple more people in here before I start yapping away. There we go. Got my trusty drink here tonight. I got my little Moscow Mule. Happy Friday, by the way, to everybody. There we go. Who else we have? We get very nice. There she is. Wave to you. Very cool. So tonight's topic, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be client expectations, as I'm sure you all probably saw in the story here. There we go. There's Chris. Hey, buddy. My man. There we go. Looking sharp. Thank you very much. I did it just for you. No, I'm going to an event tonight with my wife and son after this. Hello to you. Let me just check one thing here on the phone. Okay. And let me just do this here. Perfect. Okay. Last time, by the way, I did a live Instagram. I learned the hard way that evidently Instagram limits these things to an hour. And I was talking away in my last live call, which I posted to YouTube in case you guys want to see it. And it got like right to the 58-minute mark, and then it gave me like it got to like the 59-minute mark, and they gave me like a 30-second countdown. And I was like, all right, guys, I gotta go. And the whole thing just closed out. So hopefully tonight I'll keep better track of time. 5 after 8. Okay. All right. So a couple things before I get started. There's 6 of you in here. Hopefully we get a couple more. I fully realize that most of the viewers of these live calls are going to happen, generally speaking, after the fact on the replay. I will be posting this to my YouTube channel in case any of you miss it. But a couple things out of the gate. The first is that I have a video that I made about a year and a half ago on client expectations. It is on my YouTube channel. It's a pretty popular video. It has a lot of likes, a lot of comments on there, and it's although it's been popular, it's also very underviewed. And I was actually in a comment thread with one of my YouTube subscribers talking about how ironic it is that most photographers tend to focus so much on the technical and the cameras and the lenses and the lighting and all that stuff, which is all good stuff when it comes to photography. But when it comes to business and it comes to being ultimately, at the end of the day, successful with running the business, I'm going to tell you right now, client expectations is the number one thing. So it's a very important topic, and that's the purpose of this live chat. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a back and forth going. That'd be awesome. Just looking here who else is joining. So the short of it is that if you haven't yet seen that video, definitely check it out. It's 22 minutes long. It's going to be more to the point than what this is designed for tonight. This is just more about me going over 3 different bullet points and hopefully getting a little bit of back and forth before my time runs out. George, Matt, hey buddy, I see you in there. Good, Joe. Hey everybody. It's good. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is I have launched officially my first stab at in-person workshops. I'm facilitating my very first one. Very excited. It's going to be March 25th this year in Miami. It's going to be based on off-camera flash, posing, and composition. It's going to be in person with a limit of 10 attendees at the most. I know already there's 2 of you on this call that have already signed up, which is awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to have a blast. There's going to be a live model there. This is going to be what I'm going to refer to as a portfolio building workshop. So you're going to get to keep any and all images that you guys take at this workshop. You're going to be able to use my lighting equipment. You're going to be able to direct the model yourself. I'm going to be able to review your images. You're going to get feedback right then and there in the field. It's going to be awesome. You guys are going to love it. It's a great opportunity. Afterwards, we'll all go for drinks, Q&A, whatever you want to know. It's going to be great. So looking forward to that for sure. If you want more information on that, send me a DM after this call. I'll shoot you all the specifics, all the things that we're going to be covering in person, and the form for you guys to sign up on that. Cost on that, by the way, it's $150. Not a lot of money. Well worth it. Okay, so keep that in mind. Just going to check here and see who else. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to attend the workshop and you can't do it in person, like for all my YouTube subscribers, I am going to be filming the workshop, and it will be for sale for a very modest price for an electronic download, and you guys can jump on that, and I'll give you some nice previews of what that's going to entail after we do it, okay? So just keep that in mind. Joe, I have a show called Talking Business all about photography. You should talk. Yeah, no, absolutely. Send me a DM after this live thing, and we'll talk about that. Absolutely. There we go. Hey, Joe. Good. George, how's it going? Okay. All right. So let me take another sip of my my drink here. Friday. No wedding tomorrow, by the way. So don't anybody think that I'm here having drinks and I got a bride waiting in the morning. That's not the case. I'm actually pretty I'm pretty strict about that. If I have a wedding, let's say on Saturday, I actually don't do much of anything on Friday. I pretty much refuse to drive anywhere on the road just because I'm paranoid I'm going to get in a car accident or a fender bender or anything weird like that. It's silly. I've been that way for 8 years. Those of you who don't know me, pro photographer for 8 years. I'm celebrating 8 years full time this year. This July is when I quit my job 8 years ago. I've done nothing but weddings ever since that time. And I've done a little over 300 weddings, believe it or not. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, so anyway, let's see who else we got on here. Let's see, just scrolling through real quick. I'm going to jump right into this guy. Bear with me. Just want to see who I recognize here. All right. You know, the other thing, too, is that Miami traffic. Yeah, you got that right. I've mentioned that in a few of my videos. Sorry for about all the typos. I'm happy you understood what I said. Totally understood what you said. Yeah, no, I got it. But definitely send me a DM after the live call, Joe, and we'll connect. And if you have a show or podcast or whatever, I'm all about it. So, all right, guys. So I'm going to jump into this. I made some notes here, so I try to keep myself on track. So I keep this within the hour, hopefully less than that. So the topic tonight is client expectations. Okay. And so what I want to do is I'm just want to start off with the typical client kind of interaction and the typical client workflow. So what happens is this, right? Client comes, they see your photography work, they go on your website, they see your blog or whatever you have set up, they fall in love with all the images, they envision themselves personally in your photography, right? Now, take a pause for a second. Now, I'm going to assume that you as the photographer hearing this, that you're at a point where you already have what I would say an established brand. You have a website. You've been in business maybe for a year or two at least, maybe more. But the point is that you're past that point of like experimenting and like figuring out what kind of photography you want to do. And once you're at the state where you can pick up your camera, go out in the field and create a consistent result time and time again, I'm going to call that being in business, having a brand, and so on. Okay, so picture that first, and then everything I say is from that point forward. Okay, so now you have your site, you have your brand, you have your consistency, you're kind of known for what you do, right? Then the clients go to your site, they see your work, they fall in love with it, and they do this by envisioning themselves in your photography. Photography is an emotionally driven sale. Absolutely. So the next thing they do is send you the inquiry, right? The email, the contact form, whatever it is. And then they want to know packages. They want to know packages. They want to know pricing. Send me what your rates are, all this kind of thing. And then that's where things can get a little tricky. Now, I'll tell you, hang on one second here. I'll tell you right now that most photographers, especially most wedding photographers, they do things based on time-based packages. And I am not a fan of time-based packages. And I'm also not a fan of just doing things with an infinite amount of time either. And I have kind of figured out a balance here over the years. And I'm going to share with you guys a very interesting concept that I came up with just the other day that I think will kind of change some of this stuff around too. So bear with me here. So first of all, they send you the inquiry. Now, I'm going to explain what most photographers do. Now, this is very generalized. I understand if you don't do it this way, that's totally cool. If you disagree with this, that's totally fine. But most photographers will say, for a wedding, for instance, okay, well, we've got a 6-hour, an 8-hour, a 10-hour package, whatever it is. Here's the different price points. Or they'll say something like, the pricing starts at X, and that includes, 4 hours or whatever it is. And then they'll have the different price tiers. This is all terrible. And the reason it's terrible is because you're putting your client, who is not a photographer, who does not understand logistics, and who does not understand expectation, in charge of making these really critical decisions right out of the gate, right? And it just instantly turns it into this financial thing, right? Because then it's like, because this is how this goes down, right? Because then it's like, oh, honey, Gee whiz, he starts at $2,500. That's for 4 hours. I don't think that's enough. Maybe we could just do like 6 hours at 32 and be good, because his full day rate is like $5,000, and that's going to be too much. Let's just get 7 hours is enough time, right? 6 hours is enough time. You see, that's what happens. And then they're like, all right, well, let's just do this package here because it's going to be simple, whatever. And then clients start rationalizing, start thinking to themselves, we don't need X, Y, and Z because it's all going to be simple, right? And we as photographers know that that is just, that's never the case. It's always something, stuff always pops up, and that's the stuff that you learn with more experience. But anyway, so bear with me here, okay? So then the client goes, they pick your, say, your middle package, which is what most photographers try to target anyway, right? They deliberately have like a high-end package and then like a starting out package, and the goal is to kind of get clients somewhere in between, right? And that's generally based on time. Maybe it's an 8-hour wedding day or something, right? Let's just say that it is. So now they book it, some time goes by, they go in the field, they shoot the wedding, they deliver the wedding, and now the client isn't happy. Now, this is where things get tricky. Now, let me explain this here. Now, I myself have been on both ends of the lens, okay? I was married myself in 2010, and I've been through this entire process, and I see it from both sides. Here's the thing, is that if you have I'm going to use myself and my own website simply because I know that any of you can just type in my website and see what I'm talking about, okay? So it's just easier to reference, right? So if you go to my website, right, you go to travisharris.com, the first thing you're going to be punched in the face with is a lot of wow pictures from weddings, right? That's what hits you initially. And you're going to scroll through those thumbnails and you're going to see it's going to get you excited. And those are all like the candy shots. Those are the ones that get polished. Those are the ones that we're the most proud of. Those are the ones that have the most technical whatever behind them. But then I have my blog, and if you click on the blog, the whole point of the blog is to show clients this is what a wedding is supposed to look like, right? You go to any one of my blog posts, you're going to see, I don't know, 80, 90, 100, 150 shots from a wedding, and it will walk you through the whole day, the getting ready, all the creative shots, all that's the reception, dancing, it's all on the blog, right? And if I'm your client and I've hired you for 8 hours of wedding coverage, right? And now you've gone and shot my wedding for 8 hours or 6 hours or even less or whatever it is. My expectation is always going to be based on what I'm seeing on your website and on your blog, period. There's just no two ways about it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you as the photographer say to me, well, you only booked us for 8 hours or only booked us for 6 hours. I'm going to remember the emotional thing that I had when I saw your website. And that's just it. So clients, no matter what, they're going to hold you to what they see on your site and blog. And you need a way to navigate that and to clearly define and set client expectations. And this is an enormous opportunity in the wedding industry that I see, because I've seen most all my competitors' websites. Very few do things very few do things any differently than this. And it's just not good. It's not good at all. So to further illustrate this, hang on here, let me get a sip of my drink. This will put this in perspective. Hang on. Cheers, by the way, to all you. Quickly, hey, Santi, I'm going to take a quick glance down here. I know I get talking, and I don't know who the hell is in here. All right, all 10 of you, fantastic. All right, but 1,000 will see this on YouTube. So, all right. So here's the thing, is that... what was I saying? I was saying, so after they see your site, they send you the thing. You put out your hourly packages, and at that point, that's what they expect, no matter what. Here's what happened to me a few years ago. It was a little, I think it was 2013. I'll never forget this. It was August, and those of you from South Florida know not a whole lot happens here in August. So it was in August, and things were slow. I think I had maybe one wedding on the book at that point, and that was honestly okay, because in August, it's super hot and, you know, not the best time to be shooting weddings. But I got this out-of-town bride. She's from Boston, and she sent me an email, and she said, hey, we really love your work. We're going to be flying down there. It's going to be a simple beach wedding in South Beach. And as soon as I hear South Beach, I already know, you know, what to expect. Parking, just the beach. It's not my thing. So I'm like, all right. And she's like, it's small wedding, 30 people. That's it. And so I sent her out my standard pricing, whatever it was at the time there, $3,000, $3,200, whatever it was. She replies back and she goes, oh man, it's just outside of our budget. We're really sorry. It's just going to be a simple wedding. It's all going to take place at the hotel. And, you're just outside of our budget. So what do? Right? I email her back and I'm like, all right. Well, my first thought, by the way, is, well, if I'm out of the budget, maybe I know somebody else in Miami that's starting out or ramping up or has a different structure that I can send the business to, because I'm always trying to help other people. All right. Just today, by the way, I sent 2 fellow photographers inquiries. So December 15th, I was booked. So I sent 2 out today already. Anyway, getting back to this. So she says, well, her budget was about $1,000 less. Right. And I was like, no, I can't do that. For all that I do, it's just not going to work. And then she tells me, she goes, all we want is just like 4 hours of coverage. It was 4 hours plus whatever time it was to do the first look that they had, because it was the way that they did it. It was a little weird, but in total, it was like maybe 5 hours, let's say in total. And I started to look at it. I looked at my calendar and I was like, you know what? It's a few grand that I can make. And it's for me, it'd be easy money just to go to the hotel, clip this out. It's all one location. It's going to be like 5 hours of work. Normally I'm at a wedding for 12. All right, I'll do it. So what do? I put it together. We get on the call. I seal it up, send her the contract. She pays me the money. Everything's great. I go to the wedding. I shoot the wedding. I rock the wedding out. Let me tell you what. It was me. George was there. We clipped this wedding out. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable from a technical standpoint, but logistically, it was a nightmare. I mean, we show up to the hotel room. I mean, you know how it is. It's like, you walk into some of these hotel rooms, it's like you're walking into a closet and there's like 15 girls in there, the hair, the makeup. I mean, you walk in and in 3 seconds, you're high from the hairspray fumes. Clutter was everywhere. They totally ignored all the advice that I had given them about keeping the hotel room clean and, just, keep a separate room for the girls. That all went out the window. No. This is all like shooting from the hip, right? Literally shooting from the hip here. So there we are. And I'm always going to do the best I can. Always. Of course. We're always going to do the best we can. So we're there. We do the best we can. And I still get some pretty great shots. I mean, believe it or not, I was able to command the situation, put the dress in the window, get clutter out of the way, get the details out of the way. I got some shots of them. Anyway, we shoot the whole wedding. We go through the whole thing. Come home, deliver the wedding about a week later. Pretty quick turnaround time. Wasn't a lot of data to process. 3 or 4 days go by. The bride writes back to me, irate, pissed. Not just a little unhappy. Not just a little bit unhappy. We're talking, she was like 1-star review on all the wedding sites right out of the gate. I got those notifications. And then right behind that was her email saying to me, hey, we're really upset. You didn't get any pictures of us together. You got one at the altar. There were no, she didn't use the term, but what she meant was there was no stylized pictures of the two of them together. There was missing family pictures, and she was really upset. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, how could you possibly be upset? I did everything you wanted me to do. Like, you told me you wanted a 6-hour package. I gave you the 5-hour package. I gave you the 5-hour package. I flexed. I brought the price down. I did everything that you wanted me to do. I delivered everything here. It wasn't my fault that you were 30 minutes late. It wasn't my fault that the room was a disaster, and it wasn't my fault that none of your family was available after the ceremony, and it wasn't my fault that you guys refused to do a first look, which I told you was the only way that we can get these awesome shots. But you said it was going to be easy and simple because everybody was going to be there, right? So here I am on the defense, which is also a mistake, thinking to myself, the fuck? I did everything you wanted me to do, but yet you're still yelling at me, right? And here's the thing. It took me, this is where you learn. It took me a few minutes, few days. And then I realized, you know what? She's right. It was my fault. It was my fault. And it was my fault for things that I didn't see at the time. And it was my fault because I didn't manage the expectation. You see, it's totally my fault. I should have told her. I said, listen, if you expect, first of all, I never found out what her expectation was. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. And number two, I just did everything based on time and not on expectation, right? I'm going to talk about that in a second too. So in other words, she went to my site. She saw my blog specifically. She saw all my portfolio. That's what she thought she was going to get. The fact that it was 30 people in a simple wedding, that doesn't matter, right? She still expects all the results that she saw on my site and blog, and that's what she hired, and that's what she thought was showing up. And I didn't tell her anything different. So, and I just did the best I could, and I really did, thinking that was okay, but it wasn't okay because I didn't manage the expectation. So it was my fault, and it totally sucked, and I learned a lot from that experience, and I've made some serious changes to my business as a result of that experience, and that's what I'm here tonight trying to share with you guys, because I want you to get some value out of this, because some of you probably know this stuff. Like Santi, you've been in the business a long time. If you're still on here, I'm sure you have an awesome framework. Elba, if you're on here, I'm sure you have an awesome framework, but a lot of photographers that are starting out don't know this stuff. They don't know this stuff, and I don't want you to make these type of mistakes in your business, because I got lucky with it, right? I was strong enough, in terms of brand and reputation to withstand some of that. But if you're starting out, that kind of stuff can take you down pretty quick. So you really have to understand that. Let me just take a quick look here. Santi, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, buddy. There he goes. Alex, hey man, what's up, dude? From California. Hey, I made this at 8 o'clock just for you, so if California people can tune in. Drinking my Moscow Mule here. There's about 3 shots of vodka in this one. All right. So anyway, that was the mistake. It was my mistake, and it was shitty and horrible. So what should I have done different? I should have told her, hey, listen, thank you so much for the inquiry. I'd be more than happy. Listen, I'd be more than happy to reduce my rate, come out there, clip out this wedding for you, but it's going to come at the cost of X, Y, and Z not happening, okay? Because I don't have a magic way that I can deliver what I show on my site, blog, and whatever in a compressed amount of time. That just doesn't happen. This is simple physics. I mean, I don't have a way to just pull a rabbit out of a hat, right? No photographer does, and that's the whole point of this, is that, and we're lying to ourselves if we think that we can. So anyway, so what I do now, by the way, is I have a very rigid structure. And I know that not all photographers are going to agree with this, and that's okay, because I have an alternative for you in just a second. And neither of these two options require selling based on time. They both require selling based on expectation. So to move right along, what I do is very simple. It's laser focused on being there for the whole day. So I'm there from getting ready straight through to the reception. I might not be there for the entire reception because my time is capped at a max of 12 consecutive hours from the point that I start. Now, what this does, and that sounds like a lot of time, and it is, but I'm okay with that because of what I get in return. So here's what I get in return for that, okay? Number one, I charge a fair price for that, okay? I don't give it away. Number two, more importantly, it enables me to create a structured framework from start to finish that never, ever changes. So what I mean is that I go and I put on my little wedding planner hat for 15 minutes, and I pull out my preset Excel sheet, and I say, okay, great. So let's take a look at this, right? Wedding's going to happen at the church. That's 15 miles away from the hotel, blah, blah, blah. I get the basic info. I articulate a timeline that's based around the logistics of photography, and I completely dictate, here's the getting ready time, and then I bulletize this whole thing out for clients. I give them a sheet of paper. Like, it's all listed on here. It's like, okay, good. I'm going to arrive at 10 a.m. We're going to do details for 90 minutes or whatever it is. And then we're going to do groom prep. We're going to go to his room. By the way, he's got to be at the same hotel or we don't shoot it. Then we're going to do the bride prep and her and the girls with the tail end of makeup. After that, then we're going to do the styled shots of her getting in her dress, the tail end of that, some shots of her in her dress alone. If the bridesmaids are there, it's all kind of modularized, it's all compartmentalized all through the wedding day. It's all listed out, and this is the only way to go, in my opinion. It is so awesome because now there is just absolutely, positively no wiggle room for anybody to complain about anything. And if they do, which has been very few, but I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, it's a business. I mean, you're going to get people that are unhappy. It's just the nature of what it is. There isn't a business in the world that doesn't have somebody that isn't happy all the time, right? So hang on one second here. There we go. Rosina, hey, how's it going? That's it, Santi. Give me some support. You know what I'm talking about, buddy. I know you've been there. This is Miami. This is not an easy market. Neither is Los Angeles, Alex, I'm sure. So, yeah. So anyway, it's just great for me. A consistent framework. There's no wiggle. If they are upset, then it becomes this, right? If you get an email and it's like, well, you didn't get X, Y, and Z, which happened to me a couple months ago. I had a beautiful, amazing wedding, awesome high-end wedding planner, sick venue. Just, I was, dressed to impress. We're there to rock it out. We're there to make relationships. I'm there to get on the vendors list of the hotel. I'm there to be in the good graces of the wedding planner. Look, I know how the game is played, okay? Believe you me. And I turn my weddings around 48 hours. 48 hours. They're done. They're uploaded. Vendors have pictures. That's pretty impressive in any market, okay? That's actually unheard of, I think, in a lot of markets. But this bride was unhappy with all her photos. And, and the instant thing was, it's like, she's just difficult or whatever. But the reality is that, it's usually missing shots. Well, you didn't get this, or we didn't get enough of this. So then when you have the infrastructure, when you have the framework and you've done your you've done your homework and you've put this together for your clients, you've created this square box and there's no escaping it. It's like, okay, then instead of saying no or being on the defensive, it turns into this help me, help you, right? This is the mindset. This is what I live by. Jerry Maguire, help me, help you, right? You guys seen that movie? Shit, Jerry Maguire. Let me tell you something. That guy had it right. Help me, help you. So, all right, let's take a look and see what happened. You're saying that we didn't get enough formal shots. So let's take a look at the camera metadata and see what was happening at 3:30. Well, unfortunately, at that time, this is when the makeup ran 45 minutes late, and then everything else thereafter was a bit of a shit show because we were playing catch up. And that's not the fault of anybody else other than just the way that it was. Which brings a point that it's super important to pick the right vendors, and this goes beyond photography, right? And that's a whole nother topic. And if you guys have seen some of the advice videos on my blog, let me tell you, I punch that hard because that's super important. Like, I want my clients to hire X, Y, and Z makeup artist and so video people because they know how to keep things punctual and they're on time, and that affects everybody, right? So, but anyway, so when you have the infrastructure in place, you can hold people accountable, and that's kind of the whole point and the whole idea. All right. Well, I'm just gonna look at some comments here. I know I get going here. Wow, 48 hours. Yes, that is very fast. Some photographers take a minimum of 3 weeks. That's a huge mistake. This is 2018, and that is no longer okay. If it takes that long, you are losing out. Let me tell you what, you are losing out. In the business of high-end wedding photography, you are dealing with people that go well beyond just the client. And this is going to sound crazy, but in some cases, the client, the actual bride and groom, are the least of it. And what I'm talking about is when you go to these weddings, like the nice ones, it's about the vendors too. Like it's not only, yes, it's always about the client. I'm not saying it's not about the client. I'm saying though that you have to look beyond that. You have to start thinking to yourself, the hotel, the florist, the wedding planner, especially the venue and the wedding planner. Those are the two big ones. And you want to get them pictures. You want to be able to show their artisanship from the wedding as quickly as possible. This day and age, everybody has cell phones. You know how annoying is it? You'll shoot a wedding, and then the very next day, you'll see a iPhone picture from a guest, and that's your bride and groom's cover image. It's not okay. It's not okay. So we have to work faster, and not just teaser photos, by the way, because you know what? If you just send teaser photos like after the wedding, I'll send them 3 or 4 pictures, just so they have something to update their like that. Sounds like a good idea, and it's better than nothing. But you know what else that does? It also makes it okay for you as the photographer now to kind of sit back and take longer to process the rest of the shots, because you feel it releases the dopamine in your brain, and you start thinking to yourself, okay, I got them 4 teaser shots. They look amazing. Got 100 likes in 4 hours on Instagram. I'm doing okay, right? Wrong. It's bad, because now the other 1,500 shots are going to sit on your drive for a week or 2, right? Let's be honest, right? And that's not good. So I don't do that, and I don't do it for that very reason. I do it all at once. Sit down, we hammer it out, get it done. When you're editing, do you use Photoshop, Lightroom, or both? I have a very in-depth data workflow on what I do. There's 2 versions of that on my YouTube channel. The first is when I had an Apple workstation, and then the second is my new PC build that I did this past July or August, and I go through what I use, and I go through the programs that I use. I use Photo Mechanic to do culling, and I use Lightroom, and I use Photoshop, but I have a 3-minute rule in Photoshop. If any picture takes more than 3 minutes in Photoshop, no, get out of there. Not good. All right, I'll move on here. I know I'm getting a little crazy. Okay, so I told you what I did based on the full day, based on a structured framework, and how that works for me. And that's a really good thing. Now, here's another way to do it, because a lot of photographers disagree with that, and I totally get that, right? I'm not married to anything, nothing, not my gear, not a brand, not a strategy, nothing. I am always a student of this business, and I'm always learning too, okay? So check this out. Here's my idea, okay? And I have not seen this really done before, so you guys tell me what you think in a minute. Ready? Here it is. So you don't want to do a full day. You want to have flexibility. You want to be able to offer different packages, right? Which I hate that term. I hate it. But anyway, so this is what you do. You need to compartmentalize the entire wedding day and offer different modules. You don't have to call it modules, but for this call, I'm going to call it modules, okay? So here's what I mean, right? You could have a getting ready module. So you have arriving, details, getting ready, right? And that could be 90 minutes or whatever it is. Then you can have, obviously the groom prep module makes a lot of sense because that's all compartmentalized. That's the groom getting ready, the guys, maybe his mom and dad, and maybe some styled shots of him alone, some cool shots maybe with him and the guys outside of the hotel room, whatever, right? That's a module, and maybe that's an hour or whatever, okay? Then you have the bride prep module, and this would include hair and makeup, the tail end of it. We don't sit there and shoot a bunch of crap, so it's always when she looks her best. Tail end of hair and makeup. Then it would be stylized shots of her getting into the dress, the last part of, the last parts of that, and then some shots of her and her details, her earrings, her details that she's wearing, the dress itself, some alone pictures of her in the hotel, some pictures with the veil, whatever. Maybe pictures at that point then could be with bridesmaids, mom, dad, if they're going to be there. If the girls want to do a robe shot, like on the bed, super common, that's part of that module, okay? Then you can have first look, ceremony, that would be lumped into a module. Makes perfect sense, okay? And then you would have the reception. And the reception, you can get creative. You can say, well, there's the reception in its entirety, where we're there all day. That would be the whole day package. You could have the reception formalities, and then you could just have, after the formalities, we leave. You don't have to include cake cutting. You don't have to include all the little things. But you have you have a way. Here's the takeaway. You have a way to compartmentalize the different aspects of the wedding day. And that's the super important thing. If you can do that, then and only then can you accurately sell a client something less, because then you have a way to take something off the table when you're talking about a reduction in price, because you can't do it on time. Let me say this very clearly. Don't sell service and photography based on time. Sell based on expectation and figure out a way to compartmentalize what that expectation is, and you guys will be good to go. Period. Let me take a sip here. That's the bullet point from this whole talk right there. Got some mint there with me. Because if you sell based on time, and I can't tell you how many photographers I have spoken to, I've had lunch with, or just have text me and whatever about, oh man, one of the biggest stressors is the fact that they'll be at a wedding and the client only hired them for X amount of time, but yet they feel compelled, understandably, to get all the components in a smaller amount of time. That's what I'm talking about, okay? That's the problem. You cannot do that. It will never work, and it will always lead to a client that is leaving left not satisfied. And here's the bitch of the whole thing, right? The clients won't always reach out and tell you that they feel that way. In fact, in a lot of cases, they'll just go cold completely. They won't say anything at all. And those are the worst ones. Those are the ones that are generally not happy at all. If they don't write back and say, oh, we love our pictures, or they don't post something on social media and tag you with a nice comment, you can pretty much assume that they weren't happy with something. And that's what I have found to be true. Anyway, great points. I'm just looking at some comments here. There's a few here that I know I missed. Okay, good. All right, not too bad. All right, moving on here. I got my little checklist. So so those are the two things. So just to quickly recap, 10 seconds here. So basically, clients go to your website, they see your work, they form the expectation, emotionally based sale, not a logical one. Those images become their expectation no matter what your packages are. That's been my experience. It does not matter. Don't sell based on time, sell based on expectations, and either do what I do where you have a solid framework in place where there's just no way that they can get out of that. There's just no, that's the easiest way to do it by far. It leads to the most consistent results, and it makes sure it also ensures that I, as a photographer, by the way, get what I want out of it. Because let's face it, this is a referral-based business, right? I need to have amazing blog posts on my site every so often so clients can see it, fall in love with it, and relate with it, right? So my argument is just do what I do. Just keep it simple. Have the framework. Be there all day. Cap yourself out 10, 12 hours, whatever. And if you need to take anything off the table, figure out a way to compartmentalize that so that you're not doing it based on time. Forget this hours business, okay? It does not work. I'm telling you, it does not work. It doesn't. Anyway, let's see. Who else we got? Some new joiners here. Hey, guys. All right. So the other thing here I wanted to talk about is... So wedding photographers are notorious for this, and I was like this too, but only in the very beginning. Thank God my personality kind of prevents me from being this way too much. A lot of photographers try to be everything to everybody all the time. They are what I would call a yes person to most clients, and I totally understand that. And I have a background of upper management, of client relations, of customer service. Look, I totally get it, okay? Here's the thing, is that you as a photographer have to separate yourself from your creative photography stuff and understand where the rubber hits the road is when you're dealing with client relations and business. And for that, you have to have a backbone. You have to stand up for what you believe in. You need to have a framework in place, and you need to be confident with that, and you don't flex. And if you do flex, you need to have a way to really adhere to some type of expectation, okay? So here's kind of an example of what I'm talking about. Like, for instance, if we're in a wedding situation and I'm there with my client and we're shooting and things aren't going well, okay? And this happens, right? And when I say things aren't going well, I mean, look, things are obviously running late. They're getting behind. The girls are drinking too many mimosas, and I can just feel the creative shots just slipping out of my hands, just great, and we've all been there. If you do this long enough, Santi, I know you're on here probably still, you understand what I'm talking about. And this is horrible. This is horrible. You need to speak up, and you can do this very tactfully. You can say, hey, listen, we're getting a little bit behind right now. And so what I'm going to advise is let's do this. Let's get some of the girls that are already done. Let's have them head on over to mom's room, which is just down the hall. And that's going to alleviate a lot of the commotion in the room. And that's going to enable you to kind of finish up quicker. And then we'll have time to do those styled shots that I know you've seen on my site and that we've been planning to do with you. And we're super excited to get doing that, okay? And then she's always going to smile and say, okay, right? They're going to appreciate that. They want that. They want what you want as a photographer, but you have to be confident. You have got to tell them. You can't just hide behind the situation, back yourself into a door frame and say, oh man, yeah, they're running late. I don't know what's going to happen. Hang on 1 minute. I was at a wedding recently with a very well-known wedding planner who will remain nameless for my own reputation's sake. And things were like that. It was not good. And because there was a wedding planner there, I yield to them first. All right. There's a pecking order in the wedding. I totally understand that stuff. Could write the book on that. And I was like, hey, look, they expect that I'm going to do these bridal detail shots of her. She's already running like 36 minutes late, and we need to get up. We need to get our car out of valet, which will take 40 minutes at this hotel. And we need to get to the church. We need to get set up. Okay. So my proposal is that And before I can even get the next sentence out of my mouth, this wedding planner spoke up and said, "Oh, no, we can't tell the bride. She's going to get upset. She needs to be happy on her wedding day." And I pulled the planner aside and I said, "Yeah, I know, but here's the thing, is that this day, it's going to end in a few hours. And then, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to send her all the pictures. And then you know what's going to happen? She's going to be like, where the fuck are the pictures of me in my dress?" Right? That's what's going to happen. And then I'm the one to have to deal with that conversation. And there will be no wedding planner there to help me with that, by the way. Okay? It's going to be me and the client, and it's going to be that email thread again, and it's going to be horrible. And you know, and unfortunately, then that's where I have to be the bad guy and say, well, you know, it was 33 minutes late. We didn't have time to do any of this. I don't want to ever have to be in that position. There's never an excuse for it. There just isn't an excuse for it. So it behooves you, as a photographer, to understand that you're not just a photographer. That's the least of what you are. You are the trusted advisor to your client. Above all, and I don't care who else is there, be ethical, be polite, be professional, right? Be professional, be nice, smile, but you got to deliver those facts. You got to look her in the eye and say, listen, this isn't working right now. I love you, right? Help me help you. Let's try this, and always have a solution. Now, if you don't have a solution, that may be a different ballgame, but you need to at least convey this. Here's what this is going to do. This puts you in control. It completely dismisses any chance that they're going to come back after the fact and bitch at you about this, because you mentioned it directly in the field and you stomped that fire out before it got big. That's what it's about, putting out these fires. And number three, okay, you're enabling you're controlling that situation, and there's a good chance that you can change the outcome of that situation. And that's for the greater good of the client. That's being a representative of your client, and that's doing the right thing. And that's what this is about. So many photographers are scared to death to speak up, to do the right thing, to have a backbone. They're afraid to create a wave with other vendors. Oh, well, if I speak up, this wedding planner will never refer me to another wedding. Then fine. Then find another planner that gets it, that respects you and is on board, okay? There's other people. There's other ways to do this. You know, you are there for your client. They're the ones that are hiring you. You're the one that's responsible for these pictures, and that responsibility is serious business. Take a sip here. I'm getting all worked up. Great tips. I've done it. You have to. True. Yeah, guys, I mean, there's no two ways about it. Is it possible to get your framework? Send me a DM. If you want my framework, send me a DM. I'll send you a copy of my framework. I'm more than happy to share that. There's no secrets here. I wish everybody would do this, because if we're all on the same page, it's going to make this whole industry a whole lot better, and it's going to make it a lot easier to charge premium prices, because we can start bringing value to the table. That's what it's about, bringing value to the table beyond the scope of photography with your clients, and have a reason to confidently say, yeah, you know, I start at $4,000. You know, this is what it is. Or I start at $5,000 or $10,000, whatever your market will bear, okay? But you need a reason to do that. And don't think it's just going to be because of your pictures, because it won't. It's going to be because of the relationships you set up and the value you bring to the table, bar none. Gotta check the time. All right, I got 15 minutes here before this Instagram video kicks me out. All right, so don't be everything to everybody. Don't just keep the ball rolling. That was the whole point there. Stay in control. And look, guys, here's something to always keep in your mind. It's hard to say no. I don't say no. I don't. You know what I say? I say, okay. I say, tell you what, help me help you. Let's figure this out together, right? And I say it just like that, with a smile. And I'm like, all right, let's figure it out, right? I mean, you don't want to do a first look. No problem. Hey, when I got married myself, I didn't do a first look either. I really didn't. And I tell my clients that, the ones that reject first look, because it's a true story. But do you know what I did do? I had 3 hours photo time after our ceremony up in the mountains of Vermont. You know, most clients think I'm crazy, and I didn't care. The guests met us back later at the reception, right? That's what we wanted. That's what we did. My wife was Colombian. Her parents wouldn't stand for a first look. So, look, you just have to figure out what the compromise is going to be. So it's always help me help you find a solution. Grab their hand, not literally, but you know what I mean. Grab their hand, walk them down the path of reality, and together, you and your clients, Find a solution. Okay, Karen, let's check it out here. You don't want to do a first look? No problem. I didn't do one either. But you want to do these style shots? Let's take a look and see how this overlays with the wedding day in terms of reality for what I put together for your day. And this is why, by the way, you need to have that framework that I talked about so that you can bring these clients through this structure, because clients love that, because then they can see, oh my God. They're like, I see what you're talking about. You're right. Well, I mean, you arrive, the details, the groom prep, all these shots. Yeah, you're right. So I see what you're talking about. Like, where are we going to have time to do these shots? You got to show it to them in black, in white. There's no email that's going to correct that. There's no video that you're going to make that's going to do that. You got to show it to them in black and white. You got to be that guy in control. You got to have that backbone. You can't be the yes person. All right. Last point, and then I'll take some questions, and I got to get to my little dinner meeting here tonight. It's an entrepreneur dinner meeting here. It's a mastermind thing, which should be interesting. We'll see. This should have been the number one thing. What in your photography work does your clients love? Now let me explain this. Okay. So they've seen your work, they fell in love with it, they sent you the email, you send them your packages, which hopefully those go away, or they come into a level of reality, okay, based on expectation, which is what business is about. Anyway, you get them into the meeting, right? This is where this is going. So now they're in person with you. They're like this. They're just like this, okay? You're talking to your clients, right? This is something that I love. I love meeting in person. And if I can't, then I'll do like a phone call or maybe like a Skype or whatever. So the first things out of your mouth as a photographer, what do you think it is? In fact, can somebody tell me in the comment right now, what's the first thing that you do to get the conversation going with your clients? Anybody right now, just drop a comment. Tell me. Hey, Tommy. Hey, buddy. You're in Canada. I see you're here. Awesome. Not seeing any comments. Everybody's on the treadmill listening to this, aren't they? All right, guys. So listen, let me just jump to the chase here, okay? Yes, Matt. Thank you so much. And it's kind of cheat. I mean, Matt, you're part of my little world, so you already knew the answer to that. But that's exactly correct. Someone says I have no pants. Well, here's a spoiler. Neither do I. So anyway, Matt's correct. The first things out of your mouth needs to be, what is it about my photography that you like? Okay. Don't say it that way. That sounds a little stupid. So here's what I do, right? I sit down, I say, hey guys, thank you so much for coming in. Great. And I ask, so how did you find out about me? If I don't already know, right? Oh, okay. Susie's wedding. Oh, very good. Very good. So tell me a little bit about, what are some of the things about my photography or my brand that kind of really drew you in, right? That's how I deliver it. And I smile and I say it like that in a very engaging way. And that opens up an open dialogue for them to start talking about why the hell that they like me. Why is that important? That's important because I need to know where they're coming from. Now check this out. Right? I'm going to give you two different scenarios, okay? Here's answer possibility number one. Let's say Karen is the prospective bride, and I ask her that question, and she says to me, oh, well, we just really love your work, and, you just have really great lighting, and, and it's just really awesome. Okay, fair enough. Let's say bride number two says something like this, like, oh, well, we're getting married at the, at the Biltmore Hotel, and we love that wedding, Julie and Joe, that you did last year on your blog, and we're really excited to talk to you about what you can offer us, okay? So there's two different things here. The first scenario, there's a good chance that Karen probably hasn't really seen my website. And that sounds crazy, but it's true. I can't tell you the amount of times I have sat in a meeting in my showroom and I have spoken to prospective clients and they haven't even seen my website. And I'll quiz them on stuff, but I won't quiz them so they know. I'll just ask them things like, oh, did you see that awesome Virginia wedding we did a couple months ago? And they're like, no. They're like, was that on your blog? And I'm like, inside I'm thinking that it was amazing. It was a 30-minute video. You didn't see any of that. You know what I mean? So you can tell right away who's seen your work. This is critical. I'm going to explain this to you in detail, okay? So, to the bride that has seen your work, that referenced, Julie and Joe's wedding at the Biltmore Hotel because they're going to get married there, now I have some ammunition. So now I can say things like this. Oh yeah, Julie and Joe's wedding. No, it was amazing. We had a really great time. It was really, really awesome. And it's just gives me the opportunity to think back to Julie and Joe's wedding. And in Julie and Joe's wedding, I did an amazing styled Vanity Fair inspired bridal party wedding picture of all 8 bridesmaids all laid out in the hotel room, and it was ridiculous. In fact, it was featured on a bunch of websites. It was published in a bunch of wedding blogs and in 2 magazines. It was awesome, right? So at this moment, I know that Karen has seen that picture, and I already know that Karen's going to want me to do something similar for her. That only makes sense, right? I don't even have to ask. I just now know. So here's the thing. That picture with those 8 girls all lined up like that, yeah, it took them, they had to start getting ready with hair and makeup at 5 a.m. that day. I had a meeting with that bride, Julie, like a week before the wedding to go over all of these little things that she wanted to do as part of managing expectations, by the way. And she was like, I really want to get like a sexy, awesome shot of all the girls. And I'm like, hey, help me help you. That sounds great. I'm all about that, right? Totally, because I know how amazing that would look, and that's good for me too, right? So I was like, well, let's make it happen. So what we need 8 girls, and she wasn't going to do any first look. See, that was the thing, and I begged her to do it. She wouldn't do it. So if she's not going to do a first look, and you want this awesome shot, you got to compromise. You got to flex. That means these girls got to start coming off the assembly line for hair and makeup really early in the morning. And that's what happened. Here's why this matters. One second. So, if I don't have that conversation with my new client in person, and we don't talk about that, and I just sign the contract, and then I show up that day at the Biltmore Hotel, and there we are, and guess what she's going to say to me, the bride? Hey, Travis, you remember that shot that you did at Julie's wedding where you had the 8 girls? And I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, killer. And she's going to be like, yeah, you think we can do that? And I'm going to be like, yeah, but here's the thing. That shot took a lot of prep, and those girls had to be ready like way before now. There's no way we're going to get those 8 girls in position now. And then she's going to be like, huh. And then it's going to be weird because guess what? That was her expectation. If I didn't ask her any discovery questions, right, as a part of the sales process of managing client expectations earlier on, I'm not going to know any of that. I'm not even going to know what the hell blog post she was looking at. I'm not going to know why she was even really attracted to my photography. I'm just going to be left with my ego and me to assume, oh, well, Travis Harris, of course, she's going to pick me because I'm great, right? Right, and that's stupid because that's not what it is. She emotionally connected with specific content on my sites, and that's what she wants for her wedding day. I see this time and time again. You got to speak up. You don't, you're going to blow it. And guess what? That's a $200,000 wedding. That's a publication. That's an opportunity to network with the venue. That's an opportunity to get yourself in front of high-end wedding planners, high-end wedding clients. That's an opportunity to really excel and get yourself out of whatever level you're currently at. So this stuff that I'm talking about, this matters. This really matters. This is way more important than any of the elementary questions that I generally get from photographers, like what gear do I use? That stuff becomes, that's just, you know what I mean? That what matters most is managing these expectations. You have got to ask why they're coming to you. I'm going to give you guys a prime example again. Listen to this. And I don't know if she's on this live chat or not. I am not going to call out her name for respect to her. She's in the local area. She reached out to me just the other day, and I love her. I think she's great. Nothing personal here at all. But here is a prime example of what I'm talking about. She says, Travis, I just got approached by a clothing designer that want to hire me to go and do some commercial shots. Now, this photographer has been in business for 20 years, supposedly, and I believe her. okay? And she has predominantly weddings and a few other random shoots here and there. And she said to me, but I haven't worked with a model in years, and I don't know what to charge, okay? I started typing back to her, and actually, I hate typing on my phone, so I actually whipped it out and I created a private video for her, kind of like this, and I sent it to her with my response because I thought, because it's so important. This stuff's important. I'm here to help you guys, okay? And this is what I said to her. I said, listen, I said, the first thing is you got to manage expectations, okay? You have to be honest with yourself and with the client, okay? Have you worked with a model? You know, like where on your site have you done this type of work? You know, and have you done it or not? And maybe you have, and maybe you haven't. I don't know. Maybe you did it years ago, and it's on your hard drive somewhere. But I'm on your site right now, and I'm not seeing it. So you have to remember, this clothing designer has expectations, right? Look at their existing work. What do they currently do? What's on their Instagram feed? Can you do that? I don't know, right? So you have to be honest with yourself. And if you can't, then you got to tell them, hey, you know, I might not be the right person. Look, when I get maternity inquiries, when I get family photo inquiries, when I get anything like that, babies, all that stuff, look, I don't shoot any of that stuff. I don't do it. I don't do it at all. And believe me, I love money. I do. And there's months where things are pretty tight for me sometimes. So I have an expensive lifestyle. But I still don't do it. I send it to the other people in that flow to my network that I know do that because it's the right thing to do. And I hope that reciprocates back to me, you know, eventually. So I went on to say that I think the best thing to do is to sit down and have a meeting and just, you know, show them, look, this is what I've done. This is what I'm capable of doing. Is this going to be okay? What is your expectation? And that's what it's all about. Because what's the alternative? And what do most photographers do, by the way, right? What do? They get into this bidding war, right? Oh, well, I'll do it for X. I'll do it for Y because they want the job. Or they want the experience. They want to be able to say, holy shit, I work for a clothing designer and that's content for them. Wrong. If you haven't done the work, the audacity that so many of you have blows me away. It blows me away. You have no right doing these type of jobs unless you have the experience, the know-how, and you have a framework in place to support client expectations and the technical aspects of what they're going to expect from you. Plain and simple, guys. Plain and simple. It's like going into a bank and asking them to, to finance something that, that they would never do. I mean, it's just you have to realize how important this stuff is. So the alternative here, by the way, is that if you go and do it and you don't have the experience and you don't have the confidence, you're going to screw it up. And if you screw it up, it's your name and it's your reputation. And that's something that's worth way more than any amount of money that you're ever going to get from any client. I assure you, okay? So I'm going to take a breath here. Are you going to have this available on YouTube video? I need to watch this about 5 more times. The answer to that is yes. This will go directly to my YouTube channel. That's why I set up the fancy lights, and hopefully I can get some pro audio out of this mic. I know that you guys probably can't hear it on your end, but hopefully it's okay. I'm going to check the time. I got about 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. So anyway, on a bit of a tangent there, but the point is that it's all about client expectations. So to kind of summarize this stuff, have a very streamlined way of working, have very simple packages, not packages, but have a simple structure in place. Oh, I got the timer. I got 25 seconds left, guys. 25 seconds left, 22 seconds. Thank you guys so much. On YouTube Live, there's no timer, so I'm going to start doing this on YouTube Live, I think. Anyway, 13 seconds left. Thank you guys all so much. Enjoy your weekend. If you have a question and I couldn't answer it, send me a DM, and we'll talk soon, okay? All right, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.